Let's get our scene set up for the animation. The scene is called push_start and it's located in the My Data folder. First things first, we're going to change a few things in our preferences. So let's go there, right here by selecting this icon at the right hand corner of the screen. And once there, we'll reset our settings to default just so that your settings are going to match mine throughout. And we'll start with the settings category. And here we just want to make sure time is set to film 24 frames per second, which it should be. And once it is, we'll go down to our next category, animation, and change our default in and out tangency. We'll change our default in to linear and our out to stepped, okay, like so. So we can get the post-to-post method of animation where we first block out our actions and get the timing down roughly of when we want them to happen. And then later on, we'll end up switching our tangency to a smooth tangency, so we'll begin finalizing our animation. And I do recommend to use this technique because it's really going to be helpful for, again, getting your poses and your timing down, and then going back later and smoothing out the flow of things. And our last category, we'll go to timeline and just make sure that the playback speed is set to 24 frames per second. So that will be set, and we'll go ahead and save those settings. Great. So now we could go ahead and focus in on our perspective view. And notice how the grid is showing. Well, we could hide that grid right now. Just hold spacebar to get to the hot box, and under display, holding the left mouse button, drag over the grid, and let go. And there it is. It's gone. All right, our next step is going to be to change a few things in our Play Blast options. So we'll go to Window, Play Blast, and the option box. And once there, let's also reset our settings here and work our way down. So under time slider, that's fine. We'll leave it time range, okay, whatever the duration of the time range is. Let's check out show ornament, and that's going to hide certain things like the camera name or this camera ornament at the corner. So it's going to make our view, our actual animation view, playback less cluttered, so we could just focus on the animation without any distractions. Let's check on image viewer so we could view our Play Blast with FCheck. Okay, so we'll be able to scrub frame by frame if we want to and really check out how the flow of our animation is, or even draw certain things like a line of action or even a path of action that we're trying to achieve. Okay, and as far as display size, that's fine from window. Let's crank up the scale to 1 so we could get a nice view of our Play Blast, a big view, to really see it in detail. As far as save to file, I won't be saving my Play Blast, but you can if you like. You just check that on. And with these things done, let's go ahead and render off a quick Play Blast. We'll just click it and hit escape to stop it immediately. Alright, so here's our Play Blast window. And here, let me go ahead and stop that. We just want to make sure that the frames per second count is set to 24, which it is. So that's great. And let me show you can draw in the FCheck window. So if you hold the right mouse button, click and drag, notice you can draw. Okay? So you can draw certain things like line of actions or path of actions or a smiley face if you wanted to. But I recommend using it for actual purposes other than drawing smiley faces. And if you ever want to clear a drawing or a frame from a drawing, excuse me, you can make sure you're on the frame that you drew on. So right now we're on frame 13, and just simply go to File and Revert, and that clears it up. Okay. All right. So now we could go ahead and close out the FCheck window, and we'll be checking out other functionalities of the FCheck the benefits of utilizing FCheck as we progress. Alright, so once we have those set, we'll now work on actually making an icon, a Play Blast icon in our shelf, so we could just select that rather than continuously having to go into Window, Play Blast. We could just go to that Mail button that we're about to create. So for this, we need to find the line in our script editor. Let's go there, and there's the line. So we'll just select that, okay, and with it selected, we'll simply middle mouse button, click and drag it right to our shelf. So there it is, and now if we select it, there it goes, and then we could hit escape to stop the Play Blast, and there it is. Alright, great. And then we'll name it so we know exactly what it is. So we'll go to our shelf editor, left mouse button, click and hold that arrow there, go to the shelf editor, and let's call it PLB, making sure that it is selected, our mail script. Okay, and once we've typed in the icon name, we'll hit enter, and there's the name, so we can close that out now. And what we're also going to do now is actually make 2 more mail buttons also for play blast reasons as well as playing back reasons, and those melt buttons are going to be to hide and show our NURBS curves. Okay, as we start adding more animation and actually start finalizing the character, we're not going to want these NURBS curves in here distracting us from actually viewing the animation. So let's make some melt buttons to remove that distraction when it comes time to playing back. What we need to do is go back to our script editor and let's go to echo all commands, okay, because we're going to need that to see the line that we're going to use. And then we'll also clear our history. All right, so now we can bring this down. And what we'll do from here is go to show and turn off the visibility of the NURBS curves. And when we do that, notice we get this line here that has told us we have now turned off the visibility of our NURBS curves. So let's select that line, copy it with Control C, and paste it with Control V in our text field here. And then we'll just highlight this line, make sure we get the entire line, and middle mouse button click and drag right to our shelf. So now we have a melt button to hide our curves. How about to show them? Well, all we need to do is switch the 0 to a 1. So let's do that. And then we'll highlight the line and middle mouse button click and drag to the shelf. So now we have the functionality to show our curves or hide our curves. Excellent. All right, and let's name these. So go back to our shelf editor, and we'll go to the next one down, and we'll call this Hid C for hide curves. Hit enter. And then one underneath that we could call Viz C for visible curves. Okay, and then hit enter. All right, great. So once we have that, we can now go ahead and close out. And I like to switch the order of these. This is just a preference of mine. So we can just middle mouse button click and drag the Viz C right on top of the Hit C. And notice that changes the order. Excellent. All right, so once we have that down, let's go ahead and turn on auto key, because that's going to really speed up the keying process. We definitely want to, I do recommend, highly recommend to use auto key. It's going to save you time. And let's even show our NURBS curves, since we'll be animating pretty shortly. We'll also change the range slider, or the our playback end time to the duration of our clip, or our animation, which is going to be frame 103. Okay, and so from frames 1 to 103, that's what we'll be using. All right. Okay, so once we have this, our last step is going to be to make sure we have a key on our first frame, frame 1. So let's do that. We'll go to load up our character set by selecting this arrow, selecting the character set, and on frame 1, let's go ahead and press S. And once we do that, notice a key has been set on all the controls that we'll be using throughout. So with these things done, that actually finishes off this lesson, and in the next lesson we'll begin posing for our light pole.